a good question. I think when you act it out, you are exploding. You explode outwardly, and that has its consequences. When you suppress it, you implode. That also, you see my point? So, exploding, you might hurt someone else, blah, blah, blah. Imploded, you're gonna destroy yourself, right? Because when you are holding in that anger, anger is energy. You see, it's messing up your health. You see, I always remind my daughters, young ladies, that that's a female body. That body's not even designed for strength. So when you are angry, you're female, and you suppress your anger because it's unladylike to act that shit out. You know what I mean? So you suppress it. Okay, well, what's going to happen? You're going to wreck your menses. You're going to develop fibrotic condition all over your body, knots on your arm and your breast, etc., etc. You're going to wreck your health. It's interesting, ladies. 85% of all hospital beds are occupied by women who are suffering some kind of illness due to the suppression of anger. When you suppress your anger, you're going to become depressed. You see, all those negative emotions, you'll become depressed. That's a classical result of the suppression of anger. You see, bitter, cynical, you see, self-destructive, etc., etc. This is long. Suffice it to say, this doesn't work. You see, this messes you up physically and mentally. Because you're going against the laws of physics. You can only drink so much water. That's all that you can do. You can't drink more water than your bladder can hold. And if you try to drink another drop, you're going to piss all over yourself. This is reality of your own biology. You're going to have to take my word for a trial sometime and see what happens when you exceed your bladder's capacity to consume water. You will piss all over yourself. Try to think about it. When you got a shit and you're trying to not shit, you're going to die. You're going to set up a toxic energy in your body. It's going to kill you because you can't shit. So even when you're sick, the first thing as a doctor, what we're looking for, are you pissing and shitting? Because those are signs that your inner metabolism is working. If you ain't shitting and you ain't pissing, we got to operate somewhere. You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Because the shit is just the remains of the food you eat that is no use to the body. It is toxic. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
That's why nature made you shit. Now suppose you got a shit, you try not to shit. You're gonna wreck your life in your mind too. You have another question, Zach?
Would you say that denial is kind of like a form of suppression? You're just saying, no, I'm not angry, and just holding it in?
That's a good question. You got a future here. Denial is like suppression, but it's deeper. It is repressed. And you have to enjoy the distinction between the two. Repressed is when you have pushed your anger so far down, you don't even know you're angry anymore. See, suppression is like, you know you're angry. You just, you're trying to hold it in. When you suppress your anger, you don't even know. You think you're all right. And then suddenly somebody do something and boom, you explode. Passive aggressive is what we call it in the industry, right? Passive. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, zoom! You didn't even know you were that angry, right? That's the kind of case that when you present it in court, right, they'll call it a crime of passion because they'll ask you, why did you shoot this person 12 times? Why did you, Dark Cloud, try to cut this person in half? I don't even know. You are angry, you do something violent, and you don't even know why you did it. You're mystified. It's repressed, you see? And that's really hard to treat. You see my point? Very hard to treat. In fact, there's what we call in just a little bit of conversation, because this is what we want to have now, conversation. Your questions, those that I can answer, I do my best. This repressed anger, this is dangerous stuff. It's like walking with your eyes closed, and you can't see shit. And then you're not walking, you're running. You can set yourself up for some serious injuries. Repressed anger and other emotions, incidentally, blinds you. You don't even know what you're doing emotionally at all. You have no what we call emotional mindfulness. Emotional mindfulness. You're not mindful of your emotions. It's like, can you imagine if you were suffering from a lack of bodily mindfulness? You're not paying attention to where you walk. You don't walk in the wall, you don't walk into potholes, you don't walk out of the bathroom. You're absent-minded. You're not mindful. You don't know what you're even doing when you walk. You don't know what you're doing when you talk. You don't know what your abilities are. And so you become victims of it. Are you with me? Yes. This emotional mindfulness is key. You can't control those negative emotions if you're not mindful of when they arise. It's not possible. Right? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So repressed anger, you don't even know you're angry. So how in the hell do you manage it? You don't even know it. It'll come out just suddenly. And again, that's almost like a metabolic function. In fact, we have what we call a thing called intermittent rage. Now, this is a rage of this guy goes zoom, because again, it is repressed anger. It's like your bladder. They don't even know they're that angry, right? And one more drop of anything. I actually had a client like that, who actually the client wasn't an individual, was a company, a trucking company down in California. And when they get a new driver, they pair that new driver up with a seasoned driver, because they show them, how to handle the rig and so forth and so on. Sort of like a ride along to get the hang of, like a training, right? So this new training, right, is riding with this senior guy, okay? And then he's out on the road, they make him run with this guy. And this is one of the best truck drivers the company had, right? So they're going down the highway, right? And they chit-chatting, right? And the trainee looks over in the field, they're passing the field, maybe somewhere up in Wisconsin, and they notice some birds over there, some black birds, right? And the guy said, that's a beautiful flock of black birds, right? And the truck driver said, no, those are ravens. And the guy said, no, ravens are this and these are blackbirds. The guy threw him out the truck. Because he could not handle one more incident of somebody telling him he was wrong. Couldn't handle it. Because in his case, all his life, his parents, all they did was tell him what was wrong, what was wrong, what was wrong. And he hated that shit. But he couldn't act out his anger because they were parents, right? So he suppressed his anger all of those years, right? And his trigger for his anger is whenever you criticize him, disagree with him, he'll blow up. He threw the guy out. Of course the company didn't. They didn't want to fire him. He didn't get killed. The guy heard they'll take care of that. But he was a good-ass truck driver. And so they sent him as a client, right, to work, so forth. So it just again shows you how dangerous it is for you to be unconscious of your own emotions. You'll see the same thing with rapists. You see the same principle. You see my point? They try to suppress their instincts towards sex. And just because you're homeless and you're a bum, that don't change your biology. You understand? You will still have sexual urges and so forth and so on. So you're gonna get this homeless guy, he gonna see a girl and he gonna grab her, he gonna rape her because you know he's dirty, nasty, he has no money and stuff, but he has certain needs that he has been suppressing. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
The world of psychiatry is ugly because it deals with the dark side that nobody talks about, but everybody got one. Everybody, and you got one too, right? And so unless you develop emotional mindfulness, you'll never see your own dark side. In Jungian psychiatry, we call it your shadow. You'll never see your dark side, and it will constantly. And you will do some shit that you thought you would never do. You know how many guys in prison, Dark Cloud and all them guys, they never thought they would kill nobody. At all. So just like you. I ain't gonna kill nobody. You might have depression and shit that put you in prison. Are you all following?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's very important. So we can go on and on, Zach. That is a good consideration. Let me put a couple more up here, then we're gonna open up the floor, and we're gonna have satsang. Satsang, again, let me just say that now so that we'll know how to swing back into it. Satsang simply means when we come together and we have dialogue, we have conversation, we put our brains together and try to figure out what is the truth and so forth and so on. So it's not an argument, you see? It's a collective effort to try to get to the bottom of things, you see? And it will be open for any topic that we've touched upon in these past weeks. And we're just gonna wrap, you see? And talk about what you want to talk about. You with me?
Yes, sir.
So you all will set the agenda, and we will consider whatever you like to consider. I will offer you my 2 cents, as again, just for your consideration. You see? Okay, let me put the rest of this up here, and then we'll open up the floor, and let's have a little satsang tonight. Revenge. When you really don't know how to manage your anger, what you will do with your anger, you will use your anger energy to seek revenge. Because what happens when you get angry? Basically, your feelings are hurt. Because we all got feelings. So somebody said something, didn't say something, did something, and it hurt your feelings. And you know, and that hurt feelings is what underlies your anger. And so you're gonna get angry to somehow make yourself feel better. Well, since I don't know how to do that internally, right? Shit, the only thing I can think of, if I hurt you like you hurt me, I'll feel better. I'll get revenge. Now, the problem with that sets up war. Are you with me? And all that comes out of that is a back and forth. War. You're always at war. You see? Because it's almost childish, you know. A playground. You hit me, I hit you back, I hit you back. Some childish shit. You know? But that's all you know to do. You hurt me, I'll hurt you back, and the presumption is that by hurting you, I'll feel better. This is revenge. Now, most of us, when we don't have this as a skill, when somebody makes us angry, automatically, all we think about is I get revenge. You start plotting in your mind. You start thinking, I'm gonna get revenge. I'm gonna get them back. They're gonna be, I'm gonna get them so and so back. Revenge. See, it doesn't work. That's how you destroy a relationship. So like you angry at your parents, you're trying to take some revenge on them. How that shit gonna work? You understand?
Yes, sir.
Shit ain't gonna work. See my point? That's how it goes, you see? I'm angry at my mama, so I ain't gonna do Are you with me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
That's the consequence of your reason, right? Because it takes all kind of form, disrespect, disobedience, defiant behavior, all that kind of stuff. Obedience doesn't work. Hmm? It is the ultimate expression of inability to manage your anger. Hmm? There's one more. You displace your anger. There's a lot of other ones. These are some major ones. You displace your anger. Okay, so Jersey, you my boss. You told me to do something. I don't even like it. It ain't my job. You know what I mean? But I got to do it because you told me that you my boss. I don't like this shit. You know what I mean? And I'm angry at you. Do you think I'm going to confront her with my anger? You think I'm going to act my anger out on her?
No, sir.
No, I'm not. Because I need this money and I need this job. Right? Ain't stupid. I'm angry, but ain't stupid. Are you with me? So I'm going to suppress that anger, right? Hmm? Now, remember, there's a limit to how much anger you can suppress, right? So, rather than suppress it to the point where I'm going to piss on myself, right? I'm going to take it out on the first innocent person, right? I'm going to take it out on the car that's driving in front of me. I'm angry at my boss, Jersey, but you driving in front of me, man. I'm going to be right on your ass, man. Move the fuck on! You see my point? Right? If I don't take it out on you, right? Then I'll make it home. And the first thing I do, I come in the house, I kick the damn dog, I start whooping kids' ass, you know what I mean? I freak out, right? Because I'm mad at the boss, but I'm taking it out on you because you're my son. So you ain't gonna dare, you know, fire me. Because you can't. I'm your dad, right? I'll beat your ass because I'm angry at my boss. You understand what I'm saying? Sir. And the reverse, you all in school all day long, you mad at Miss Jones or Mr. this or Mr. that. In the classroom, they mess with you. And you come home and you taking that shit out on your mom and your daddy. What's up with that? Classroom rage that you bringing on. What's up with that? You see? So you have to be very careful about that. Now, with that said, a lot more can be said, guys. Let's have a little song. And then we'll wrap it up for today and be reminded next Friday is graduation. So make sure that you're here on time and make sure that your parents know about it. Those of you who are not here as an adult, I expect to see your parents here with you. I might not even give you a certificate if I don't see your parents. You know what I mean? Some of you all, parents probably still don't know the shit you done did. Right? Because they don't get your referral sheets.
Stop tapping.
From all of them. In fact, I do it in Romeo. I get the social worker report. I get the list of students that the classroom teacher having the most trouble. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Some of you are not just lying to your teacher, you lying to your parents too. I want to see your parents, for sure. Right? I ain't gonna bust you, don't misunderstand me, right? But I know how you roll. So, what would you rascals like to discuss? Yes, stand up and tell me. You direct me, I'll go wherever you lead me, PK.
I was gonna ask, like, how would a person with anger management problem, like, how would you, like, help, like, what advice would you give to them on how to control their anger?
Did you all watch the little 10-minute clip from the BBC in England? They came and I explained to them the process. And And that's what I do, but I do it on an individual basis. Do you have notes of it by any chance?
Yeah.
What was the first stage? Stage one.
Like 39, problem math.
Okay. Right. Stage, what is stage one? Okay, that's interesting.
I told y'all to take notes.
Go. Go ahead and take the notes. Go ahead and look at your notes. Let's look at the notes. What is stage one?
Stage one was denial.
Yeah. What did you have? Same thing? Too late. But stage one, PK, stage one is I have to help you work through your denial. Because most often, the reason that we don't try to manage our anger is because we don't think we have an anger management problem. Although everybody else done told you too angry about shit. You know what I mean? But you're in denial. And I tell you why the denial is such a big trap. Because the more you are self-deluded, the greater will be your state of denial. By self-deluded, PK, I mean that we create an image of ourselves. We have a self-image that we have created of ourselves, the self-concept of self. That is exaggerated, right? It ain't true. It's a false sense of self, what we call ego. So my self-concept of myself is that, no, I'm a real mild-mannered person. You see, I don't go off on people. I'm very religious. I'm well-educated. See, I got manners. I got great character. No, I don't go off on people. I might get a little irritated. I might get pissed off occasionally. I don't get angry. See, you don't know that those are synonyms for anger. You see my point? So you don't see it as anger. You just perturbed, upset. But I don't get it. That shit isn't it. So you figure that you must be mistaken. Just because you see me upset, you think I got anger problem. And yes, I do get upset a lot. About every 2 hours, I'm gonna have an upset episode. But that don't mean nothing. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You see the absurdity of it? You see the subtlety of it? So, denial. So you have to work with a person. See? Now, and it's never enough when you're working with a client to just give them the psychology of it all. Because that don't help them see it. You see my point? They have to see it for themselves. So most therapy is helping a person to see themselves. It's very interesting. The term we use for PK is called uncover. Uncover. Who they really are versus who they think they are. And see who you really are is almost never who you think you are. Because who you think you are is just your own concepts. It's just shit you have made up about yourself. It may have no grounding in the reality of the kind of person you really are. You see? So we have to do some uncovering to help you recognize, which is the second stage, right? So the first stage is bring you out of denial. The second stage is uncovering, or what we call recognition. I got to help you recognize the contradiction, right? And it's different for each person. Different from each person. There's no one particular process for all. You have to do it very carefully, you see. And some people are capable of withstanding, intense uncovering, and some are not. Some are too invested in their illusion that they're creating about themselves, turn it loose. Are you with me? So in the East, we have an expression. This uncovering process is like removing a fine piece of silk from a thorny bush. Sometimes to lift a piece by piece by piece, because if we try to pull it off at one time, you destroy the cheek, right? So in psychiatry, you know, we have to be very careful, right? Because some people have different capacity for handling the truth, is what I'm saying, right? Some people have a greater capacity for handling the truth. Other people have almost no capacity for handling the truth about themselves. You know what I mean? They're very much invested in this imaginary self that they think they are. You see? So you have to work slowly. And find a way to help them see that. Now, but it was not on the British broadcasting clip was the whole process, because that's 10 minutes, you know, it can only be superficial. But one of the things I do is get your, what I call early recollections. Earliest recollection. So I might start you, for instance, I might say, PK, all right, tell me, give me a story or an example of your earliest recollection of being angry. And then who was it? You know, you take your time. And preferably before the age of 7. You see, before 7. You know, because that's when your personality, that's when who you are for real was being made. You see? That's your real self that you are. Now you have covered up with a bunch of other propaganda, but essentially who you are, you became that before the age of 7, and that's what you still are. That's the child. You see? Remember, guys, like this building has a foundation, right? You can't have these walls and the roof and all that is only able to stand because there's a foundation, right? Well, your childhood is the foundation of who you are. Whatever you are now, your childhood is the foundation of that. So, your early recollections, you see, and you take the client through that, and you get different answers to that whole question, but that's where you start, right? And for the first time you see that, my earliest recollection is when it was my 4th birthday, and I was real excited about it. You see my point? It would be cake and ice cream and gifts and presents and celebration. And I can remember coming over to Granny's house to celebrate my birthday. When I got there, there was no cake, there was no celebration. They had forgot about my birthday. And I was angry about it. I mean, I'm just making some shit up, you know what I'm saying? But you have real incidents, things that happen, you see? And that becomes your wound. In fact, we have a name for it, TK, in the culture of psychiatry and psychology. We call those, believe it or not, engrams. Engrams. It's a technical name for that. Those are memories of painful experiences that you had. They are called engrams, and they're buried deep in your subconscious mind. You have to understand, this is your conscious mind. The one you're in now, that's about 5% of what drives your behavior. 95% of what you do comes from your subconscious. Right, you don't even know you're doing it. The subconscious. Because here's your memories. They're buried. Right? And you function out of memories. Basic. But you have no access to it. That's what therapy and meditation and yoga does. It helps you develop that level of mindfulness where you can go deep into your own psyche and see where your issues are. And once you are able to see them, then you can overcome them. You see? That's why psychotherapy and so forth takes so long. I mean, it's 20, 25 years to undo that. So there's more that can be said about that. Was there anything else about it, TK? Got it? You see. So that's how the process begins to work. Now, so once you pass that that second stage of doing the uncovering, so forth and so on, the next one is what I call homework. Homework. You gotta do some work. You see? You actually have to do some practice, a solid, a real practice, you see? So once we figure out what the issues are and so forth, so now here's the remedy. Right? This is what you gotta start doing. And you have to start practicing that. You have to start practicing. Practicing that. Over and over. So let's say like you are a victim of that kind of anger where your anger just takes you over. You just don't know what happened. You don't intend to be an angry person. You don't want to be an angry person, but shit is fighting or not wanting to be an angry person and don't intend to act out in an angry fashion. It keeps happening in spite of that. Well, for you, your homework will be very different. You will get a prescription that basically deals with you learning how to watch your mind, how to watch your own emotion, how to develop emotional mindfulness in other words, you see, so that you can catch it. Are you with me? See, if you're on the lookout for it, you'll catch it, right? You can't, so you won't be so involved in what I call unconscious relationships. You will begin to start having conscious relationships. You know what I mean? You pay attention.